Kazakhstan is one of the most multinational countries in the world. Here live representatives of more than 130 ethnic groups and nationalities. Each ethnos is a unique tradition, unique holidays, fascinating stories and amazing recipes. Recipes of kindness and peace, recipes of respect for their ancestors and foreign culture, recipes of friendship. Hello, this is program Recipe for Friendship. Representatives of dozens of different ethnicities live on the territory of our multinational republic. They all honor and preserve their customs and traditions for future generations, and our program opens them to you. You are watching Recipe for Friendship, and this issue is dedicated to Germans from Povolzhia or Volga region. Today, we will find out what Ostern is. Children are looking forward to the morning when they can start hunting for eggs, which they have very carefully hid. We will see how people dressed in Germany in the Middle Ages and later. Apron is an obligatory attribute, and usually it is just below the sundress. And listen to heartwarming folk songs. Together with the characters of the program, we will see the winter off, and of course we will cook together the dish that is served in Bavaria on weekdays and holidays. Today I invite you to get acquainted with the culture of the Germans from Povolzhia, for which in fact we arrived in Astana, in the center of Wiedergeburt. Yevgeny, Alexei, Elvira are those people who will help us to learn more about this culture today. As you can see, I'm wearing a beautiful costume, and I immediately have a question: whether I have everything right here or did I make any mistake? When the clothes were not just a beautiful and practical thing, but it carried the information about the owner or the hostess, every detail could be of key importance. Here, for example, the belt. It might seem a very ordinary thing. Look, the female costume is called drindel. It consists of a fluffy blouse, sundress, apron, and as for the apron, if you are married, it is tied on the right side. So when a woman was walking down the street in a national costume, you could immediately determine her status. That is, if a woman is married, it's tied on the right side. If not married, then on the left. And what about the center? Virgins wore it at the center and widows wore it right behind their back. In fact, there were a lot of varieties of women's costumes in Germany. Various colors indicated the age of the woman, the reason for which she dressed up, and even the place of her residence. Each color represents a different region they came from to the Volga region. Costumes had their own characteristics and their colors, their ornaments. We can see here the blue, white and blue diamonds. This is the Bavarian national costume. But this dress, I see it's of the same color. Is it also Bavarian? Yes, that's right. If we see the blue color, we understand that it's Bavarian. Apron is an obligatory attribute, and usually it is just below the sundress. Even if we pay attention, almost every costume has a corset or a waistcoat. Yes, a corset or a vest. A girl wears it on top to emphasize her waist. There are festive clothes and there are everyday costumes. For example, now in Bavaria you can see people wearing national costumes every day. And this is a usual thing for them. This is the norm for them. This costume costs 800 to 700 euros. In Germany, to this day, is it popular to wear national clothes? Yes, in Bavaria, yes. That is, for example, if someone from our audience will decide to visit Bavaria, for example, the Oktoberfest, it makes sense to take care of the costume in advance, to merge there with the surrounding reality. If you wear such a dress, not even on the eve of the Oktoberfest, you will merge with others. More reserved tones, such as grey and brown colors, girls preferred to wear in everyday life, while working around the house or working in the fields. They would not spoil clothes in the garden. It was considered that this was the choice of women from peasant families. We see the natural beauty of this costume, and noble girls began to wear them. There was a peasant costume, but then it turned into such a beautiful one. Women and their outfits always draw attention, but the male costume in the German tradition, believe me, is no less interesting. I cannot help but pay attention to your costume. Here is a very beautiful embroidery, an ornament on the collar. On the waistcoat, I see you have very beautiful buttons. Is it a nobleman's suit or a peasant suit? This is a standard German suit. That is, we see that there is a shirt, a jacket, long trousers and a blazer itself. And sometimes trousers can be short. Correctly, short trousers are worn during the summer. They are very convenient when you dance and drink beer. Well, the hat is an obligatory accessory. The hat is often decorated with a feather. For the festive version of the men's outfit, as a rule, bright fabrics are used. For example, of a blue color, and of course there will be much more of decorative elements. This also emphasizes belonging to a particular land. For example, there are 16 lands in Germany. Each person is proud of his origin and a place his family comes from. The Volga society in Kazakhstan is rightfully considered to be a real museum of values, capable of telling and showing a lot about the life and values of the German people. Families who decide to return to Germany leave different artifacts as a gift. There are so many interesting things, and some of them look like they're very old. Is this still preserved from your ancestors? Many people left our country, and when they were moving away, they decided to leave their everyday objects for the Revival Society in Astana city, precisely for us to keep, honor and know our history and traditions. With this thing, they rolled the laundry on such a collar and simply ironed it this way. I understand that this thing is from the same breed. Yes, it is more elegant. The Germans were very fond of all sorts of patterns and ornaments. They called this house appliance earlier rubel or kachulka. With the help of such a ribbed board, the fabrics were not only ironed when it was drying, but they also made washing process more efficient. This thing is older. Here I see the date, 1928. Another mandatory attribute of the hostesses who lived before the electrification, the washing board. Maybe someone even remembers it from their grandmothers or great-grandmothers. There was a similar thing because in many countries people used similar items. It's amazing how our great-grandmothers managed to keep the clothes whole and clean that served them for several decades. Of course, the housework was enough, and it was all done only by hand. I see a very interesting thing here. Is it a spinning wheel? Yes, of course. There is one version that Germans from Povolzhia were the first people who brought the spinning wheel to Russia. They were very hardworking and very fond of needlework. I have a question. How did bath shoes end up among the German household items? Everyone knows that this is not German shoes. Yes, that's right, it's Russian shoes, but the Germans used it. Germans from Povolzhia, yes, they made them. The bottom was made of leather, and here everything was spun from the birch bark. Here it is, mutual assimilation of cultures, a mixture of traditions, Russian bath shoes used by Germans. It is not a secret for anyone that the German masters were famous for their ability for painstaking work. The variety of laces, crocheted and embroidered is the best proof of this. These are such beautiful mugs. No one doubts that there is something Bavarian here. Yes, of course, we all know that Germans are very fond of beer, and brewing is one of the main traditions of the German people. What do the Germans say when they make a toast? Prost. Prost zum Wohl. What does it mean? For health. Zum Wohl. Carving wood is another national kind of craft. Masters made elegant decorative ornaments and kitchen utensils. I immediately imagine how they grinded cinnamon for apple pie, or something like that. Yes, cinnamon is one of the main spices in German tradition. We will get to the German cuisine, but in the meantime, let's talk more about spiritual food. I can see old books here. Yes, there are mainly Bibles of the middle and the end of the 19th century. Here we can even see a handwritten Bible. It was rewritten, most likely, of the middle of the 20th century, because it was rewritten with a ballpoint pen. Well, someone did a very big and painstaking work by rewriting it. And can you imagine that such a legacy remains in our society? There are even older specimens in this collection. They are printed in an old font. Many books also contain unique illustrations. Of course, speaking of German literature, we cannot fail to mention the most famous storytellers in the world, the Brothers Grimm. We have the opportunity to see the very first editions of their works. In fact, until now, everywhere throughout the world, people read illustrations on the tales of the Brothers Grimm. It is translated into more than 180 languages of the world. The world circulation of fairy tales exceeds 1 billion copies. Already in 1939, in our city of Engels, we have a purely German edition of the Brothers Grimm fairy tales for Russian Germans. Beloved to everyone, Bremen musicians, Snow White, Rapunzel, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty and Rumpelstiltskin. All these heroes became world famous thanks to research, carefully gathering and adaptation of Brothers Grimm. And all these tales come from German folklore. Children in Germany love these tales, in my opinion, as well as in your country. I think that, in particular in the former Soviet Union, there is a good variety of different editions of the Brothers Grimm fairy tales. And even young illustrators are still engaged in drawing illustrations. An exhibition dedicated to the works of Jacob and Wilhelm was a great gift not only to connoisseurs of German culture, but also to all connoisseurs of literature, beautiful syllables and fairy tale magic. We must of course mention traditional holidays, and probably one of the most anticipated and magical of them is Christmas. Old and young are waiting for Saint Nicholas. Saint Nicolaus's Day is celebrated annually on December the 6th. According to the legend, in one of the families, there was absolutely no money left, and the unfortunate father was already ready to bid farewell to his beloved 3 daughters, but one winter morning, the girls found in their boots the bars of gold left by Saint Nicholas. This legend heralds the origin of the tradition of putting shoes out of the door or hanging cloth boots over the fireplace in anticipation of a holiday and gifts. The farewell to winter among Germans is no less fun and exciting holiday. Fasching or Fastnacht coincide in the calendar with Carnival, and this coincidence is not accidental. In Germany and Austria, these days are filled with mass festivities and colorful carnivals. The Kazakh diaspora does not change traditions. The tradition of bright and noisy water farewell goes back to ancient times. But later in the Middle Ages, the Church adopted this holiday as a merry time before the beginning of a strict Christian fast. And the very name Fastnacht or Fasching means the time before the fast. And the Carnival, as it is often called in Germany, has the Latin name and means farewell to the meat, because starting from Monday, you will not be able to eat meat and you will need to dedicate all your time to prayers and temperance in everything. In the course of this fun carnival, everything that can be inappropriate at another time is allowed. It is a time when brave tricks and insane jokes are welcomed. Like the holidays of the representatives of other nationalities, it's hard to imagine German holiday without songs and dances. Most German folk dances can be performed under the rhythms of waltz or polka. From the point of view of folk dance, the notion of German includes dances not only of modern Germany, but also of Austria and parts of Switzerland and the Czech Republic. In the Wiedergeburt society, the tradition of studying folklore and choreography is continued by representatives of all ages. The amateur choir Steppelblumen, which means late flowers, singers have a huge repertoire of songs in German language. The Fasching is followed by the fast, and then comes the most important holiday of the spring. Easter in German it is called Ostern. The name has ancient roots. It is based on the ancient goddess Astera, the Lady of the Sun. This holiday, like in other cultures, is associated with the renewal of nature. The symbol of the holiday is the egg, which personifies a new life. The tradition of the Germans is to decorate the table with an improvised tree of willow or birch branches and decorate it with painted eggs. It is believed from ancient times that a bright bunny brings these eggs. Children are looking forward to the morning when they can start hunting for eggs, which they have very carefully hid. Spring holidays don't end there. After Easter, there is another cheerful occasion for fun, Mother's Day or Muttertag. It is celebrated every second Sunday in May. After a vigorous and cheerful celebration of the events of winter and spring, the Germans concluded a series of festivities. Ahead of summer is the time of hard work. So the summer was historically devoted to field work, and again it was possible to celebrate a big holiday only in the fall. Erntedankfest is the feast of thanksgiving for the harvest. For this holiday cannot begin until the last sheaf of wheat from the fields is removed. It is the last sheaf from the field that is lit in the temple, and the spicklets are kept from it at home. Also, people bring to the church other fruits and flowers with which they decorate the altar, thereby giving thanks to the fertile land and the forces of heaven for a generous harvest and prosperity. It should be assumed that this is a generous and bright holiday. Yes, it is celebrated right on the fields. Everyone prepares treats. Old people rejoice, children and families rejoice too, because the hard work is over and now the rest of the year would be stable. Well, well, look at this table. Although the vegetables here are not real except for pumpkin, it still gives us the preview of how beautiful it can be. Yes, and delicious. We can only mark our calendar so we won't forget to visit the German Center for the Thanksgiving harvest holiday. Well, what are the holidays without traditional dishes on the table? And according to the established tradition, we conclude our excursion into the culture of the German people with a national dish that we will cook. Today, our chef Evgeny will teach us how to cook Schnitzel. It's a dish with a long history. It was cooked for the first time in Germany in the 14th century. In German, Schnitzel means cut, slice or chips. Previously, it was cooked exclusively from veal. The modern kitchen knows a lot of variations on this topic. Today in our skillet is chicken Schnitzel. We take the chicken fillet, cut it, we make this kind of layer. Cooked Schnitzel usually surprises people with its size. Some chefs specifically make sure that its edges go beyond the plate. And the obligatory moment, the meat needs to be pounded well. The thinner it is, the better it will be fried. From the seasonings, only salt and a mixture of peppers are used. For the breading, we need 3 ingredients: flour, egg and breadcrumbs. This method allows you to create a crispy golden crust while the meat inside will remain soft and juicy. Prepared poultry goes into the heated frying pan. You can be generous with oil. We broil the schnitzel from both sides and it goes onto the plate. As a side dish, we will serve Bavarian potato salad, simple, delicious and authentic. Boiled potatoes, salted cucumbers, a little green onions and a dressing based on olive oil, mustard and lemon juice, which can be replaced with wine vinegar. If desired, you can add black pepper or herbs, whatever you like. A slice of lemon, an obligatory part of serving. A lemon juice shades taste of a ready schnitzel. Final touches and the dish can be served to the table. Bon appetit, or as the Germans say, guten Appetit. My name is Alevtina Majarova and it was Recipe for Friendship. See you soon on Kazakh TV.